Hi, this is Mike from mikesgoodstuff.com. That is the site I write for, obviously, because it is called My Good Stuff, mikesgoodstuff.com. You should check it out. It's wonderful. Talks about, well, good stuff. Anyway, speaking of good stuff, got my hands on the Windows Technical Preview. This is for Windows 10. This is build 9841. Not that this took any extra trickery. This is actually freely available to everybody in a move that is fairly uncharacteristic of Microsoft from the 90s anyway. It's a little more accurate of today. This is actually the earliest build of any Windows program that we've seen officially before. Of course, we've always seen leaked builds of new Windows products months before they're going to launch. But this is the first time Microsoft has actually sent essentially what is a beta copy of Windows to users to try out. And that's an interesting philosophy difference from what they've normally done. I've actually talked a little bit more in that with the article that I will be linking to this video. So this first video, I'm going to be talking about the thing that interests me the most, which is the multitasking options. They've drastically changed that and improved it over Windows 8 and even Windows 7 for that matter. I'll also be talking about some of the general interface changes that they've done. They've gone a little flatter with Windows 10. You may notice some difference in the icons. You've got a new desktop icon. Even the folder icon here, Windows Explorer, is a bit flatter than it was before. Some of the old standbys like Notepad and Paint haven't changed since, well, Windows 7 really. But yeah, everything, it just has a little bit more flatter icons. For instance, the Home group, the only reason you can differentiate the spheres is because of the little white stuff there. So there is a lot less shadowing going on with the icons. The windows are also a bit more minimal. You don't have nearly as much edge around here as used to. There's about maybe a pixel or two difference between the X and the top here. It's very, very minimal, very clean. I actually like it. I have a soft spot for minimalism to a degree. It definitely makes the interface a little bit cleaner. Makes the interface quicker as well. You don't have as much graphical bloat to worry about. I'd rather use all my graphics power for the more exciting things like gaming and such. One thing you may also notice too is that I don't remember a lot of this with Windows 8, but you see that shadowing going on. So that is a very minimal way to differentiate windows from each other, because since we don't have a lot up here to differentiate windows, it's just a little visual cue. Yeah, I realize it's skeuomorphic in a way, but it's also, there's so little of it that it's a minimal skeuomorphism, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't really seem to have a lot of impact on the system, and in fact it's cleaner and more efficient than previous versions, so it's not bad. Anyway, so this is Windows 10. I'm not gonna. I know the biggest thing that everybody's gonna want to talk about is the start menu. Whatever. I'm not really that interested in it. I will talk about it in a future video, but I was never one of those people that complained about the start menu going away. Well, once again, I'll talk about that in a future video. Mainly what I'm here to talk about is some of the new multitasking options. You've got this new thing called Task View, and this is what has replaced your typical Alt-Tab, or even with Windows 8, you used to have this stupid little drop-down thing, or drop-side thing, I guess, where you just kind of put your mouse up here and scroll down or move down, and you'd have this thing that popped up here and you could go between your tasks. The other weird thing about that with Windows 8 was that if you lived on the desktop, the only time Alt-Tab or the only time this little task switcher did anything for you was if your Well, actually, it didn't really do anything for you in the desktop. You just have to use Alt-Tab. This here thing that was over here was mainly for switching between Metro apps and the desktop. The desktop was an app running in Windows 8. That was a weird distinction, and as much as I liked Windows 8, it's kind of a mistake. So that's gone from this technical preview. If you install this on a touchscreen device, you will still get the Charms bar that pops up here. This is not a touchscreen device. This is actually kind of a piece of crud laptop that I'm running this on right now. It's an old Alienware M11X, which was fine back in its day, but it's 4 or 5 years old now, running a 1.7 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. It's aged. But that is also to say that I don't recommend installing this on a main production machine right now. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Maybe a few bugs, but nothing groundbreaking. It's a pretty stable system at the moment. But as this is very early software, I don't expect that upgrading from this will be quite as smooth as you might expect upgrading from a retail copy to a retail copy. So, and also you don't have all the features in here yet. There's only a couple of features at the moment, and that's okay. But there's going to be more exciting things to come, I'm sure. So you can hold off on it and just let me guide you around what to expect with Windows 10. So as I said, there's this new task switcher mode. Let's open up a couple windows just to get some context here. So we've got internet browser, we've got a notepad, home, and if you click this button here, which you can also access with the Windows tab function. So if you remember from Windows Vista, Windows 7, that's where you had that parallax view where you'd have windows just popping up in a weird kind of one over another format and you could just flip through them. Well, that command is back. I believe they really took it out in Windows 8. And they've replaced it with something a bit more basic. I'll show you what it looks like. Windows tab. So basically, this is it. Very minimal. Just get your windows here. You have access to close them if you need be. See my recording software I'm using over here. And there's not a lot here. And I'm okay with that, I guess. I mean, I don't need a lot of flair in my task switcher, you know. If you hit Windows Tab and use arrow, you can you can move through them. Tab will flip through your multiple desktops, which I'll go into in a minute, as well as your apps here. But use arrow keys to actually move through your apps here, applications. But this little button here will also get there too. So if you're using a touchscreen, this little button here might actually be a lot more useful than if you're using keyboard and mouse. So if you end up installing Windows 10 on a production machine, desktop or something like that, you're probably fine just to remove this icon, if you even can. Well, that's interesting. I never really realized that before, but apparently you cannot remove this icon currently. That's something I find very weird and probably should be removed, but whatever. In any case, so that's there and that does that. If you use your old standard Alt-Tab, then you can do just like you did with Windows 7, Windows 8. You just hit Alt, or you keep Alt down, hit Tab to flip through your things. You notice the multiple desktops thing doesn't appear here, so this is strictly for switching between applications. So that's still there. It just Windows Tab gets you into this new task view, which gives you your multiple desktop options here. So with that in mind, let's actually go into multiple desktops. So obviously, as you see here, there's this button that pops up if you don't have any additional desktops open. It just says add a desktop. All you do is you just tap that. Click it. I haven't really figured out if there's a keyboard shortcut for this yet, but I'm sure there is, or there will be, to add a new desktop. So when you add a new desktop, voila, looks pretty much like the other desktop, just less stuff on it. Currently there is no way that I know of to change the background for each desktop. The other thing you should be aware of, which it kind of dampers my enthusiasm a little bit, so maybe I'll suggest it in my through Microsoft. But if you have multiple desktops open and you restart your computer, they'll be gone. It doesn't save your desktops. So if you want to create multiple desktops and leave them the way they are, you'll probably just have to keep your computer on, which I know a lot of people do anyway. If you restart your computer or turn it off, then you're going to lose whatever desktops you had open at the time. Just like any other Windows, it's not gonna keep all your programs open. It's gonna shut everything down. But I know a lot of people keep their computers on anyway, so that probably won't be that big of a deal. But for those of you who don't really know what multiple desktops will do for you, this isn't exactly the first time that multiple desktops has appeared on anything. It's actually been a staple of Linux-based distributions for a long time. It's been on macOS since several years ago. I don't remember which macOS version had it. And in fact, NT versions, which are more technical versions for IT center people and stuff like that, they've had multiple desktops for a while. Microsoft has kept it away from the consumer versions, probably because I don't know. Maybe they just thought it was too technical of a thing for the average consumer. I don't know. I think it's really cool though. So basically, what you have are multiple work environments here that you can that allow you to organize the programs that you have open in different ways. So for instance, we have Notepad in here. We have your desktop shortcuts here. We have a internet browser. Oh, by the way, that's still here. If you shake vigorously, you'll get your apps minimized or whatever. Now, say if we want to, say you're like me, and you like to listen to some music while you're writing. You might have, you might have a, let's bring up another instance of Notepad here. You might have Notepad here. You might have music you run in the background over here. So by the way, this is also a new thing, which is kind of nice that this is obviously a Metro app. This is the music player from Windows 8. And it is open in a window. This is something that's been rumored for a while. It was supposed to actually come in Windows 8.2, but they decided to keep it for this release. But yeah, your modern apps will now open in the desktop as a window. So your desktop, once again, is no longer an app. It is actually a it is an environment that everything opens in. So then, and as a result of that, you can also snap them. So you can see the return of the snap here. They have this cool little thing that they're calling Snap Assist, which will bring your any other programs you have open in this desktop up as an option to snap next to it. If you click on it, then it will snap it half-sized as well. They figure that, hey, if you're snapping something, you're going to probably want to snap something else next to it. So it's cool. You can also click away from it, and it won't snap it for you. So, but yeah, you can snap your stuff here. Now, obviously, this is taking up the whole, the whole screen space. If you end up opening up a bunch of other applications, say you've got Paint open, say you've got, switch to my other desktop. So you've got a second instance of Internet Explorer open here. You got all this stuff, right? It's all in the way, and then you just kind of keep going from application to application, just like going from workflow to workflow with all these windows. You might minimize some of them, and they're just like, where'd they go? Whatever, right? Um, well, that's where multiple desktops come in handy, because you can keep this open like this, and then when you need to do something else, you can go to, say, another desktop, go to your Internet Explorer, blah blah blah, whatever, and do your stuff. Then go back and you've got your workflow restored exactly how it was before. You can also manage multiple projects this way. Like a lot of things, one of the things I'll do is, if I'm moving from, say, a writing project here to something like a music editing, or maybe I'm photoshopping something, or maybe whatever. But if you have multiple things that you do on a regular basis, and once again you keep your computer on, you can actually create your workspaces. So say, let's close Paint here real quick. So for instance, if you're in here, you open up Paint, say you want to do some Photoshop for a website or something like that. You've got some, and you're doing some web research at the same time. But you can always have this open. You can just keep this open, and so you can, if you need to quickly access a program, access Photoshop, do something real quick, you can just swap back from desktop to desktop to desktop. And once again, you can, if you hit Windows Tab, Tab will switch between modes, whether you want to go through this, or if you want to go through your desktops. And you just hit Enter to select the one you want. So Windows Tab, Tab, go in. And one thing you may notice as I'm going through my desktops, the task switcher shows you what's open on your desktop. So we've got Internet Explorer and Paint over here. And if we go to this one, Untitled Bing, or you've got Notepad, Internet Explorer, Music. And then on this one, we've got let's see, a bunch of other stuff here. So that's also nice that it kind of keeps the task switcher in mind with whatever desktop you're working on at the moment. So that's cool. Having that is very powerful for me. I am constantly working on multiple projects, not necessarily at the same time, but I don't want to have to close all of my stuff, reopen everything, create my workflow every single time. That just takes valuable time and energy. If I say, if I want to keep my writing project up, but maybe I want to, so I can keep this up, but maybe I want to watch Netflix or play a game or something like that. I can just open another one of these. And by the way, so I'll tell you that in a minute, actually. And then you could just bring up Netflix, and then when you're done with that, just go back to your project here. Obviously this stuff can get cluttered, but I mean, in today's day and age, computers have a lot of memory and a lot of processing power. I don't really see this being having a lot of stuff open as being a big deal anymore. And so but if anything, having the power to do it within the software is fantastic, especially as processors, RAM, graphics cards, all of that improve. It's nice to have this stuff here. Thing I'm curious of, though, pull up the task manager. I mean, you'll notice right now we've got, let's see, it doesn't break it down, but it does keep everything in memory, so keep that in mind. Memory heavy programs like Photoshop or whatever may end up I mean, if you have a lot of that stuff open, you're going to be eating up your resources like mad. Don't worry about this. This is nothing to do with the software. This is everything to do with the hardware. It's just this computer is awful. It shouldn't. What's going on right now shouldn't be taking 95% of the CPU, but it does. But yes, keep that in mind. So one other thing that's kind of cool about the multiple desktops is that if you get lost in your multiple desktops, like you're looking at this going, this doesn't really tell me anything. I don't know what's going on here. But you know you want a program. One single program, one instance of the program. See down here, you have these, so right here, you see these little pieces of like a highlight. It's there and it's not there. It's just kind of like docked. Is almost what I want to say there. That's basically a cue to tell you that you have it open, just not in this desktop. It's a cool little cue, but when you mouse over it, then it shows you a preview of what it is. So it's not trying to trick you and saying that you have it open here, but it is giving you a cue that it's open somewhere. And so if you want to get to that program, all you have to do is click on it, and it'll take you to the desktop that it's on. Same thing here. Go to music. There it is. And so that can actually switch you from your desktops right there. And in that case, you've got your workload right here. You've got your workspace all set up. You don't have to move everything around and figure things out. It's all right there. It's fantastic. And in that case, you don't have to even do Windows tab and go through your desktops or whatever. I mean, you just go, it's like, hey, I want my notepad. Well, there you go. If you happen to be Mary Jo Foley and use Notepad. But yeah, so that's fantastic. I mean, it's really kind of empowering for anybody who does multiple things, and that can be anyone from a business professional that runs a spreadsheet at the same time that he's trying to create his PowerPoint presentation, to a student playing a game on one screen and doing homework in the other. To more illicit things, I'm sure. So yeah. Okay. So there's one last thing I was going to show you, and it has everything to do with multitasking, and it is really cool. It is another of my favorite features, because I like to have a lot of things on a desktop, and I don't like doing this all the time. This is why I love Snap. It's the reason why I don't use Macs, because they don't have this. They don't have Snap. They have this, and this is terrible. This is arduous, and it's stupid. So anyway, once again, we have Snap Assist, which is cool. Let's throw that in there just for the heck of it. But of course, like always, you can also bring it to the top of the screen and full size it, which is cool. But there's one new Snap option that's now available to you, which I've been wanting for a while, and I'm finally glad that it's here. As far as I know, I don't play a lot with Linux, but as far as I know, this is the only time I've ever seen this in OS. But if you bring your window to the corner, let's actually go to another desktop for this, I think. But if you bring your window into a corner, so once again, Snap like this, but you see that how it you've got that line there that's like kind of half up, half down. basically this is a quarter snap. Now, keep in mind, this is this screen is 1366 by 7068. It's an 11-inch screen, so it's not going to take the most advantage of this. But anyone who has a bigger aspect ratio, like a 16 by 10 monitor, or like a 4K display or Surface Pro or something like that, is going to be able to take a lot more advantage of this than I will. But yeah, I mean, you can put your app in the corner, and it'll quarter snap it. And then you can have a whole bunch of things open. So one thing to notice, though, I'll get into that in a moment, but you probably noticed how interesting that was. But anyway, let's. So this also continues the Snap Assist option. This is not going to work because this is the modern app, and I'll explain that in a minute. But oops, I got out of my thing there. If you're in another desktop and you need to open up another program, obviously, like I said, you click this. This is going to move you out of your desktop. If you right-click and click on the actual program, this will open a new instance. For those who don't know that, that's an essential thing to know for this type of operating system. So then you can see here. Let's re-snap some stuff here. It's not wanting to work for me for some reason. So let's do that. Yeah, maybe a bug I'm running into here. That it's not wanting to snap for me at the moment. But rest assured, normally, doesn't seem to be liking me at the moment. Normally you can quarter snap everything and you have 4 programs like this, which is cool. And then of course you got your minimal shadows here to tell you what's actually open, because it places the shadow over everything else. So but that's quarter snap. So the one limitation that I alluded to before, which it makes sense when I think about it, it's just unfortunate, and it's just going to be reality until it's just going to be reality until new APIs get released, is that Metro apps will not be able to effectively quarter snap. This is the most amount of snapping you can do. In fact, you can move this down, and it looks like this one's behaving as far as that kind of stuff is considered. But say if we try to quarter snap this, let's just close this real quick just to get out of the way, and you bring it forward a little bit, you see that your screen needs to be wider. The fact of the matter is, Metro apps are still limited to how they were originally designed. And Metro apps are always designed to be full screen first, 1/3 screen second, and now there's a couple more resolution options that came out in Windows 8.1, which are nice. But sorry, I keep getting attacked by people and or cats. The reality of this is there's only a few orientations that these modern apps can actually be resized into, and they have a certain amount of resolution available to them. If you notice the stuff here that's missing, this is actually just a limitation of the apps as well. It can move up to about there, and if you remember from Windows 8, that's about where you remember the right-click menu. If you've used Windows 8, you'll know on Metro apps, or the modern apps as they call it, or the start screen. If you right-click, then you'll get this little pop-up thing that pops up right here, and it gives you some extra settings. It's almost akin to some of the Android settings options and stuff like that. Well, that typically stopped right about here, and modern apps always had that thing hard coded in there that they had to be able to have this space available for that menu. So this is not Microsoft doing anything other than removing that menu and just having that option there. But all modern apps are going to be limited to this much quarter snap, which is, it half sizes it, which is nice, but you only get this much space underneath it. For the moment, anyway. Microsoft will be announcing, it sounds like they're going to be doing a developer event next month, November, and they'll be releasing probably a bunch of new APIs, talking about them at least. And part of that is probably going to be around rewriting apps to work with Windows 10, or at least freeing up developers to use multiple different resolution amounts. There's also rumors of desktop apps being allowed into the Windows Store, which they'll be having APIs around that as well. So this will probably change at some point. It's not going to be up to Microsoft. I think it will be up to the app developers to change it. But this will probably change in the future. But keep that in mind, that is a limitation currently with running Windows 8 apps that are designed for Windows 8 with Windows 10. So we seem to have a little bit more freedom with the calculator because there's not a lot going on with it that requires any more space. Like, you can just minimize it down to this, which is nice, but still you can't pull this up any more than that. And like I said, that's just a limitation of how the apps are designed. They always had this free space available down here that it would take advantage of when the right screen option was there, and it would move it up otherwise. And that's just the way it is. We'll just have to deal with it for now. But it will eventually change. So in any case, that is just some of the multitasking stuff that's available with Windows, or that will be available with Windows 10. It is currently available if you sign up for the technical preview. Once again, I would run it on a machine that you're not really using constantly, a non-production machine, something that you can test on, something maybe you shoved in your closet and you don't like it anymore, but maybe you can check out some new software on it. That's if you care enough to install this. If not, then you can stay tuned to mikesgoodstuff.com and this YouTube channel, and I will be showing you things as I see them. I'll be playing around with this a little bit and keeping an eye on change logs and stuff like that. Once again, there's a lot of features that are not available in this preview yet, and there's actually going to be some more consumery information talked about probably in February. The operating system probably won't launch until at least April, probably more like summertime. It might release April, and then you might see devices coming out in the summertime. So this is still very, very early, but it's stable, and I've been running on it just fine. So anyway, stay tuned for more videos, and stay tuned to mikesgoodstuff.com for more information, and thank you for watching.